Okay, folks, for those of you here, we are so glad to have you to our Zero Smart Cleaning webinar. We're going to talk about optimizing people, energy, and sustainability through our technology to help optimize your hospitals through our smart cleaning technology. So, without further ado, I'll kick it off. So you've got me and my colleague Jim here. My name's Olivia Svitanich. I've been with R0 for about 3.5 years and worked primarily in healthcare, and I'm based in Los Angeles, California.
Thank you, Liv. And my name's Jim Hine. I joined R0 last year, and I've been very much under the guide and mentorship of Olivia. And I've come from a background of both hardware and software in the healthcare space for a little over 15 years, if I'm being honest. And I join you today from Tampa, Florida. We're out here, R0 is speaking at the IBCon conference under a 3-day event here. We've got a lot of facilities managers, and Elizabeth Redmond, who founded our occupancy platform Coworker, is speaking tomorrow. So just wanted to give her a quick plug. And we've been really excited to talk with some of our customers that are here today. And so I'm going to take you through our smart cleaning platform. And it's been getting quite a bit of resonance with customers here. And I just want to take a little bit of time today to explain that for you. And so our agenda today is kind of walking through just a high level, what does smart cleaning really mean? And the impact to both your staff, your business, your end customers, whether those occupants or tenants, and really what that means for them from both a business value and an experience in their spaces, and how that really ties into the R0 platform as a whole. And hopefully we'll have a little bit of time for Q&A for folks that have questions, but this should be relatively quick, and we want to make use of your time. So please put your questions in the Q&A session, and we'll address those as we go. So what is smart cleaning? So we have the idea that our buildings, our environments are getting more intelligent as different technologies become available. And some of those might inform your security, your access control, maybe your HVAC systems. And it's really the ability to understand what your people are doing, your staff, your community, and really your patients, right? And those clinicians that are spending so much time to give them all of their attention and care, and their time is very valuable. And that extends to your EVS staff, who we know has been really short-staffed, and the churn and turnover with environmental services teams has become more acute, even after the pandemic, where maybe levels were 10 to 20% open headcount. Some hospitals and customers of ours are reporting 25, 30% retention loss. So their teams are stretched very thin, and R0 has recognized that we can help maybe extend and make sure that the time that they do spend is productive, and that they're not cleaning and doing their protocols in areas that have not been used, right? So Liv, you can go to the next slide. I think what really brought home for us was just listening to customers and their understanding that both in their clinical spaces and their non-clinical spaces, they don't have the staff to clean everything as rapidly as they would like to. There's also a tight resource from a room perspective. Some of our hospitals with hundreds of rooms, even over 1,000 rooms, one customer with 1,200 rooms, they can't get to all these spaces in a very data-driven way. And so for what R0, smart cleaning is about utilizing data and turning your facilities into a data-driven environment so that your hospitals have both information to act on, and that extends to patient rooms, your ICUs, PACUs, your labs, and your non-clinical spaces. And if you think about areas that you're not sure where usage is happening, because you're taking anecdotal notes from operations managers, from your facilities team, really the real-time data and the ability to understand if that room hasn't been utilized for a day, 2 days, or that patient has just exited that room, has been discharged. How are you then getting to that room quickly to give that room back for the next patient, right? And that also extends to your recovery rooms, and certainly your birthing centers and other areas where you don't have that real-time information. So providing that data quickly in an environment that gives a mobile trending and quick snapshot of what's happening in your environment is the goal for our platform. So if you have the ability to do your normal disinfection protocol, you may or may not know that R0 also offers a UVC technology platform, and that's both for real-time disinfection and terminal disinfection. And so adding that capability on top of the occupancy platform really gives your EVS team the ability to back up areas they may have missed or didn't have time to clean, and UVC is going to be able to be that safety net where maybe chemical and spray cleaning didn't reach those areas. So one of the things that we want to address in the broader facility campus is areas where your clinicians are potentially using conference rooms, maybe rehab centers, or other areas that have been maybe not utilized as fully, or in some cases, maybe you don't have enough conference rooms and you've got clinicians coming from the hospital floor or your departmental teams that are using conference rooms sporadically, or they don't have a way to schedule those, and giving you the ability to then see that this room isn't getting used fully and to give that back and alert you and your staff that room is now available as part of this platform. And so those hotspots right now are completely dark to you. And so what this platform is allowing you to do is bring kind of sunlight to those areas so you can go back to your teams and with data and say that, hey, we know this room is not getting used. We don't need to clean it. We don't need to go in there and expend more chemicals and more productivity and focus that in other areas of the hospital. It's also going to allow you to potentially control your heating, cooling, and your HVAC system to potentially dim and reduce energy consumption in areas that aren't getting utilized. And so that broader suite of information is going to be something that you're going to have your own specific use cases for. Liv's going to be able to walk you through a couple of examples that we've seen in the field. But in general, we want to make this a flexible platform that gives you the ability to potentially repurpose and utilize your spaces differently. So with that, I'll turn it over to Liv, and she can kind of walk you through some of the case studies that we've had with our customers.
Thank you so much, Jim. Yeah, hi everyone. Again, I'm Olivia. Yeah, so I wanted to walk you through, as Jim said, a couple areas where we've had healthcare customers use this data to great effect. So as Jim said, a lot of this can be based on if you go into a floor and there are 100 rooms on a floor, how does your team act on that? The simplest way, but probably the most energy intensive and resource intensive, is to just go clean all 100 rooms as soon as they're done. But this gives you insight into which rooms to potentially prioritize and how quickly they're turning over, and also which rooms may not need that immediate attention. So it just gives you some insight into how to act on this, and maybe not all 100 rooms in that case or even that day need that cleaning. So it's just, again, to give you that visibility to make kind of the most informed choice for your hospital, and especially for kind of a strained EVS staff in many cases. So here is like, we have occupancy sensors. This is one from an actual customer's dashboard where they deployed over 5,000 sensors across their campus. So they were really looking at this from, how do we make informed decisions about how frequently things need to be cleaned? Obviously, some areas have to be cleaned multiple and disinfected multiple times a day, but other places that are really used only once a week or maybe even less than that, they have now the data to be able to definitively pull back and say, no, this room was used for an hour on Thursday. It does not need to be cleaned every day. And that is the typical cadence at which it's used. So that's super valuable, and especially for non-clinical spaces where it's not quite the same level of risk necessarily that you would see in a clinical space. This also gives the ability to kind of know how your spaces are being used. So beyond just knowing about, for like, informing cleaning and disinfecting decisions, this information was really valuable for this hospital because they were able to see, oh, okay, this one administrative person, or maybe some of the administrative people, they said they need an office, but it's really only used 2 days a week for an hour, or things like that. Because always it seems like there's some pull to move and or convert administrative spaces to clinical spaces, because it seems like that's always tight. It always, the need for more clinical spaces exists. So it's the ability to recognize where you might be able to pull and make some of those space conversions in a really informed manner versus just best guess or based on anecdotal information. You have that real data to support it. So anyway, we see kind of this, you get utilization data, occupancy, peak hours. So again, it gives you that insight into how you want to use your space. Also, the other thing is we see a lot of times that departments and hospitals may need to change, or you're going to build another site. It's a way to give you data to say, yes, radiology maybe uses this much, or urology, or whatever department. It's able to say, yeah, this is how much of their space they really use, so that whenever you're making decisions about moving a group or for future builds, you have that data to kind of inform exactly how it needs to be configured, or at least what would be optimal. So move on to the next case study. This is a little bit more specific. So we looked at a lot of non-clinical spaces in this hospital environment, but the big thing was that there are a lot of high demand spaces with no windows. The biggest examples being lactation and on-call rooms. So it was, how do we integrate this occupancy data into their reservation system? Because presumably you don't want people coming into an on-call room where maybe you have a doctor taking rest after a very long shift or between shifts, or into someone who may be breastfeeding. So how do we kind of integrate that? So basically our sensors are able to show whether a room is occupied or not, and have that feed into the reservation system of a hospital, so that you can kind of ensure privacy, but you can also get the data about, again, how frequently those rooms are used. Maybe you need more, maybe you can convert some of them to other spaces. And that can be really valuable, again, when you have these rooms where they can be high turnover, but they're really high use, and there's an element of privacy to them. Also, too, we see here that in this particular hospital's case, certain conference rooms are used less than 20% of the time. In fact, maybe closer to 10. And other spaces are used a lot less frequently. So that kind of gives information both from a cleaning perspective. Okay, how often do we really need to have EVS service these? But also, could they be put to better use? Could they be repurposed for something more valuable? And also, too, from a reservation system, it actually allows you to see, too, did people make a reservation and did they actually show up? And that can be really valuable for certain room types, too, because does the reservation align with when occupancy is shown for this area or room? So again, it kind of helps kind of keep, again, everything more visible, or as Jim said, kind of bring some sunlight to how the spaces are used, which usually is a little bit harder to tell from afar. So more broadly, and Jim kind of teases, we offer a suite of technologies. We also offer UVC mobile unit, which can be used. And again, this has been the gold standard in healthcare for many years, but a mobile unit that outputs greatest UVC on the market and helps turn over ORs and other high risk rooms quickly. So that can be used as part of your smart cleaning to help turn over rooms quickly and with great efficacy. In addition, we also have, installed UVC disinfection in the form of a FAR UVC device that continuously disinfects air and surfaces. And we also have our upper room GUV device, which it disinfects air continuously in occupied spaces. So based on the insights from these sensors, or building intelligence data rather, you can often make the case and understand, like, where would we benefit from having an extra layer of disinfection, especially for installed UVC, where it doesn't require necessarily more labor on our part, but we do get this extra layer of disinfection that's happening all the time for some of our highest risk and highest use areas. So anyway, just to kind of recap, holistically, the goal is to optimize your space based on an understanding of how they're really used to drive efficiency. So basic understanding of how your spaces are used and how that can inform cleaning and disinfection procedures and SOPs for your hospital, improve indoor health. So a third kind of part of our platform, in addition to the UVC and occupancy sensors, or IAQ sensors, or indoor air quality. So that can actually report back on temperature, humidity, particulate matter, CO2 levels to, again, help inform the quality of the air in your space, since we know that can have kind of sweeping effects on the occupant health in those spaces. And then the last is to achieve sustainability. And Jim had spoken about this previously, but Also, too, when that certain areas of the hospital are used very infrequently, it gives you the ability to maybe not heat, cool, or light them to the greatest effect as maybe you would. And there's a real energy savings associated with what we call kind of dimming. So turning down some of the AC or the heating in some cases, or not running the lights at 100% all the time. If you know that room is only used 1 or 2 days a week, it doesn't need to be fully functional Monday through Sunday. I guess in the case of a hospital, it's every day. So again, it's kind of to bring all of those things together. Also, too, through our installed UVC technology, and this kind of goes to improving indoor air quality and reducing bioburden in spaces. The goal is to help do that most energy efficiently. So you have the indoor air quality sensors to help inform where you are, but also with our installed UVC, you have the ability to turn over the volume of air in a room with disinfected air rapidly and do it much more energy efficiently than you could do with your HVAC system, which for anyone here who may be here who's on the kind of building or side, that's a very energy intensive part of a building and part of its operations. So if you can get the same level of disinfection, but usually better with our technology without trying to turn over more and more air, that can be of great benefit from an energy saving standpoint. So, and kind of last year, I like this visual because it kind of ties together all of what we're trying to accomplish in terms of bringing best health to your building. But occupancy data to understand how your spaces are used, energy to help inform kind of where you may be able to make more energy efficient choices based on occupancy and through our UVC technology. Health in terms of being able to provide the healthiest environment at the lowest cost to benefit all those who are using your spaces. And then, of course, indoor air quality, which we address through our indoor air quality sensor, but also through our UVC that aims to meaningfully impact bioburden in air and on surfaces to kind of bring about the most healthy indoor environment possible, which is especially important in healthcare. Lastly here, this is just to kind of give you a sense of the customers that we're working with currently across different sectors. And yeah, I know we've gone kind of quickly here, but we wanted to thank you for attending today, and we welcome your questions and we look forward to hearing from you. Also, last plug here, I should say, let me go back for 1 second, but this kind of gives you a sense of our dashboard itself for the occupancy sensing. Go back one. This is a plug for if this is really of interest to you. In a subsequent meeting, we're happy to take you through a live demo of this dashboard so that you can see in real time what kind of reporting and information you're able to get. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of point that out as for a subsequent meeting with us. That can be really useful. But yeah, with that, I will turn it back over to the audience for Q&A.
And for the folks that have taken time to dial in today, if you don't have immediate questions, but something occurs to you at r0.com, we've got a very human-powered chat interface there, and I see Trish is dialed in with us today. So we can definitely get your questions routed to the right person, of whether that's hardware or software or use cases. So definitely come and visit. There's going to be more, obviously, details on the platform and some of the specs for the different compounds and air quality metrics that we're measuring.
Okay. I think if there are no questions right now, we may wrap up the live recording here. But as Jim said, thank you for everyone who attended. We're very grateful, and we absolutely welcome your questions as they come up in the future. And we look forward to partnering with you. Thank you so much.